Big show for you today. I woke up like everybody else and saw that Roe versus Wade was overturned. Why did they do it? What exactly does this mean? And is it a good thing or a bad thing? First, let's just get a little rundown. U.S. Supreme Court overturns Roe versus Wade abortion rights landmark. The court in a 6-3 ruling upheld a Republican-backed Mississippi law that bans abortion after 15 weeks of pregnancy. And then the vote was 5-4, with Justice Roberts dissenting for Roe versus Wade being overturned, but that was enough. What this means now is it's up to the states. Massive shift on abortion ruling, and it's projected that around 13 states are considering to ban it. I'm going to get some of your perspectives as well on the screen, talk about another story, and that's what we got today. Let's start the show. Hey, what's going on, folks? Hope you guys are having a good day. We're going to talk about Roe versus Wade being overturned. I woke up and it was just posted everywhere. And I wanted to kind of be contrary. And I was like, you know what? Everybody's going to talk about this today, obviously, because it's a huge court case. But I hate feeling like I have to talk about something. I mean, this is pretty necessary, but you get what I'm saying? Even if it is something like I have an opinion on the left or the right, I'm like, it feels like we're always just like running in circles around the same topics. So I wanted to start real quick with something that was just interesting to me as people are coming in. Very briefly, before we talk about Roe versus Wade, this was Eric Adams, the mayor of New York City. He confiscated a bunch of illegal dirt bikes and then he just bulldozed them. It's very strange. I just want to watch the clip. Sorry, I don't know how it's playing. Hold on. All right, the clip's not working, but oh well. He just bulldozed a bunch of ATVs. His press secretary said, as we stand in the shadow of the Freedom Tower, we are freeing ourselves of the destructive pieces of machinery that are on our streets. They will be crushed today so they never terrorize our city again. Good riddance to illegal dirt bikes and ATVs. So Eric Adams seized a bunch of bikes and then just crushed them. And it was like, we're crushing this. And I don't know. It just seems very weird. Couldn't they have just given them to somebody or donated them, maybe taken the parts and used them? Just such government like power grab slash flexing on the population. It's just like a metaphor for how stupid they can be sometimes. But I think a lot of people want to talk about Roe versus Wade. So I'll put some of your comments on the screen after I put my piece in. And please let me know whether you agree or disagree with me. I want to get both sides of the story. So there was this Mississippi court case for a late-term abortion, and they ruled that Mississippi had the right to. They revisited Roe versus Wade and overturned it. A lot of people are ticked off. This means it's going to go back to the states, Texas, Mississippi, a lot of the conservative states. I believe Texas, I saw breaking news that Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton declared that abortion is now illegal in Texas and proclaims June 24th as a holiday for the Attorney General's office. The AG closes his office for the day. So Texas is already making moves in other states. It's going to go back to the states, as I said. I guess I want to say this because I get both sides of the equation. I think Democrats have been escalating it recently, just going further and further. Like everybody's like, okay, when's it alive, right? When does it become a sperm, conception? Like everybody's trying to find this philosophical, like, okay, when is it really immoral? And I've watched Democrats, just like with the LGBTQ stuff, children, lower gender, there's 5, there's 1,000. They just keep pushing it further and further and further. So I was always, passively, I guess, pro-choice because I just didn't think about it much. And I thought that that was the moral thing. But as I looked into it, as Democrats pushed it further, I had to reevaluate. And I was like, no, I guess I'm actually pro-life because these people are sick. Like they just want to keep pushing it further. They have no respect for anything. Me, myself, my mother and my father had me when they were young. I'm sure a lot of kids would have just aborted me, and I wouldn't be alive. Like my parents were in their early 20s, they ended up divorcing. And I'm sure a lot of people in that position are like, I'm too young to raise a child. I'm glad my parents had me. I'll say this for sure, that I think that, pushing it further and further, just like with the LGBTQ stuff or the BLM stuff, putting it everywhere all the time, blasting in people's faces, more people are starting to feel like me, and they're just like, all right, stop. I don't care if Roe versus Wade is overturned. I'm not like somebody that thinks that it's that important or necessary that everybody has to do it all the time. And I want to explain why I feel that way, because I know a lot of women are going to say, well, I feel differently. I'm going to put your comments on the screen. This is going to make people uncomfortable, right, in America, because it's a huge shift. But in my perspective, people need to feel a little bit uncomfortable in America because there's so many things going wrong in this country and nobody ever takes a look at it. So for instance, back in the day, people used to have more families, right? People used to stay together. People used to have more kids. People used to abortion was not that popular. Christianity was more popular. There was a time where in Europe, you couldn't even stay at a hotel if you weren't married. You know what I'm saying? They valued marriage between a man and a woman, where if you were just with some floozy or something, they wouldn't even want you to stay at a hotel. So that used to be the culture of the West. And slowly but slowly, it just started degenerating. And now, I'm not trying to be rude, left wing, right wing. We'll talk about abortion, but you look at everything and things are not right in this country. They're just not. I'm sorry. People are fatter than they've ever been. People are, in many cases, lazier than they've ever been. There's food dye in so many foods. Like, it's illegal in many countries. Yet you look at Gatorade and some Skittles, they're using all these food dyes that a lot of countries don't even want to use. And we have dough conditioner and all these weird ingredients. I'm not some sort of like freak that needs to eat everything all the time perfect. I'm not that way. I eat cheeseburgers. I eat bacon. Sorry, vegans, I do. I'm not like this purist of food. But I know that when you eat a burger, you should know that there's not like illegal dough conditioner in it that's destroying your body. That's America. So people need to feel uncomfortable because our entire system is screwed up. It's immoral. And, whether people agree with this or not, I think we need to reevaluate. I'll use myself, and then I'll be honest and say I'm not a woman, because an abortion affects a woman physically, spiritually, mentally, like way more than a man, and I'm not one of these left-wing panders like, oh, it's a woman show. I'm just saying I'm not getting something ripped out of me. So it's like, it doesn't affect me. If I tell a girl, go get an abortion, it doesn't affect me the same way it's going to affect her physically, spiritually, and mentally. So I understand why women have a stronger feeling about it, especially ones that have gone through it. But I will say this on a personal note, I'm older now. When you're young, they tell you, go drink, go to school, you know what I'm saying? Go have sex. It's cool. Now that I'm older, I'm just going to get a little personal here. I haven't had sex in over a year because I don't want to. I don't want a kid, and I don't want to have sex with anybody I don't want a kid with. Like, that's what people tell. Oh, just don't. It's true though. It's like, once you get to a certain age or a certain level of like morality, or like, I'm not acting like I'm holier than thou or anything. I'm not. I'm just saying, it's like, I don't want a kid. I don't want to have sex with somebody that I could possibly have a kid with. And really, the smartest thing to do, for all reasons, like health reasons, safety reasons, and just like logic reasons, like, don't just have sex with everybody all the time. And I know, people don't want to hear that, but it's just true. And it's a tough reality where it's like this college culture. My friend Danny made a really funny joke on Twitter. He said, this is going to be a really uncomfortable day for, frat boys in Republican states. It's funny, but it's true, because a lot of frat bros, now if you're in Mississippi or Texas, it's going to be illegal. You're like, oh, damn, but frat boys in, red states seem to feel uncomfortable because it's actually, and I'm not trying to be like not cool. I get I'm in my early 30s now, and it's going to seem not cool to kids in their 20s, but it's like, it's not cool to just get wasted all the time and just fuck anything. Like, it's not cool at all. And we need to reevaluate our culture. It's like, let's send our kids to school, $100,000 in debt. They're just getting wasted and like banging chicks, and your girls are, doing whatever. They're getting indoctrinated with crazy gender, racial, like everything is just like maddening. They come back dumber than they were when they went. They're in debt. They have terrible habits. They drink like an alcoholic. They think that promiscuous sex is like cool. The point I'm getting to is, outside of this ruling, and I will get to your comments, I promise, this whole system that we operate under needs to be reevaluated, from our food, from our medicine, to our health agencies, to how we exercise, to what colleges, to the culture that we blast in music and entertainment. Nothing that we're putting in pop culture, media, colleges, nothing is cool. There's nothing cool about it. So the positive that I would take, whether you agree with Roe versus Wade or not, I actually think it was unconstitutional that they did it. I revisited it, and I think personally this is the right decision to let the states decide. But whether you agree with it or not, we need to reevaluate our culture, and people need to feel a little bit uncomfortable, because it's not cool to just be banging people all the time. And I know I'm a little older now, but I agree that you shouldn't just be having sex with anybody that you're not willing to have a kid with. And I know that sounds uncool, but I'm practicing what I preach. I haven't had sex in over a year, and I don't want to, even with people that I like, where I'm like, I don't want a kid. I feel great. I'm clean. I'm healthy. God is great, and I don't want to ruin my mental state. And the more you have sex, and the more you do this type of stuff, the more it screws you up physically, mentally, spiritually. And especially for a woman, abortion, if anything, at any time, if you are pro it, it should be like a last second resort where it's not something that's like, oh, I got 3 and I'm so proud. It's like, that's disgusting. It's like, that's like getting like 600 pounds and being like, I'm proud of this. So I'm going to get even fatter. And then I'm going to have like gastro bypass surgery and rip it out. And I'm proud of that. I'm proud that I got 700 pounds, and I'm proud that I got the surgery, and I'm proud that I'm taking pills. I'm not knocking anybody for being any weight, any height, but like no one's proud of that. When someone like loses a lot of weight and they get the surgery, they're like, I'm not proud of how big I got, but I am happy that I'm skinny now and I'm going to take care of myself. It's not like, it's like a last resort. People that do that type of stuff are like, I got too big. I had to do this. This was the last resort. God is great. I'm glad for my journey. I'm not going to regret anything, but it's not like this is what everyone should do. No one should work out. Everyone should just get obese, and then everybody should get surgery to get skinny. It's like, no, it's supposed to be like a pill. It's last resort. And this culture of like that, it's just so normal. I'm not a woman, but I could just imagine spiritually, physically, mentally getting an abortion. I've heard stories from people that I know. It takes a toll, and it's not fun, and it's not like something that you should ever try to do, but it's like my mistakes in the past as well. It's like, I'm not proud of them, but I'm not going to cry. Like, if you're a woman, of course, forgive yourself and, understand that everything's a journey. Nobody's perfect. Some things happen. Everything happens for a reason. I don't harp on all the mistakes I made or things that like hurt me in the past, because then you'll just drain yourself. So you have to just move on and understand everything happens for a reason. But in general, I think we need to come to this conclusion outside of all this to be like, our culture's screwed up. Food. Nobody talks about this. I'm going to keep harping on this. There's so much in our food that is illegal in other countries. There should be no dyes in drinks. There's no reason for it. Does it need to be orange or red? They're making a sale. They're willing to kill you and your children because it looks cute. Make it clear colored. Who cares if my freaking drink is orange, red, yellow, or just white? Doesn't matter. Just, water. Oh, I want my water green. No, if it's fucking blue, it's blue. If it's white, it's white. We don't need illegal food dyes that cause issues in this country. That's what this country is. Anything to make a sale. Bad food, bad medicine, pumping it into kids, have sex, get fat, listen to degenerate music. It's like, this culture's disgusting. So I'm actually grateful that this happened, because people are going to feel really uncomfortable, and people need to feel really uncomfortable in this country, because nothing about this is good. And that's the story of America. Picket fence, decent job, working class, everybody thrived for a while. Now everybody's not thriving because we got too comfortable. So hopefully this spurs something. And before I get to the comments, I just want to say, 4 years ago, if you would have told me like demons, God, and maybe not 4 years ago, maybe like 6, 7, like all this stuff, I'm like, oh, that's hocus pocus. I don't believe in demons, and I don't believe in this. And like, yeah, God, the universe, like I'm all is one. But now I'm like, I really see it. Like, if you stray from God, if you stray from the truth, if you stray from common sense, if you stray from morality, if you stray from logic, all these things that are basic, like 1 + 1 is 2, up is up, down is down, like, it's better to do this than this, like basic stuff that everybody understands. If you stray from that, you become like an empty void. And when you're physically, spiritually, and mentally weak, the weaker you are, the easier it is for, in my opinion, to get possessed. Like, I think people are literally possessed, like demon possessed. And I'm not saying like they're stuck that way or anything, but it's like when you're weak, there's space for evil entities and evil things to enter you. And I'm not saying anybody's perfect, but you see some of these people that are doing everything wrong, say physically wrong, spiritually wrong, mentally wrong, politically wrong. And their entire life is just fighting the truth, fighting logic, fighting reason, fighting families, fighting people that are common sense, fighting, working out is far right. These type of people become like unhinged, demon possessed monsters where I actually feel terrible for them, because I'm like, man, if the last 6 years didn't get you closer to God, it's sad. But at the same time, I'm like, you look at some of these people and I'm like, man, it really does feel bigger than just one thing. Like a lot of people say that, speculate or theorize that abortion is like this Moloch, like baby sacrifice sort of thing. And I know that sounds crazy. And it's like, for some, it's just a metaphor. For others, they believe it. I'm not telling you what to believe, but it's like metaphorically and spiritually, it's like kind of like people are losing their right to just really like, rip things out. And it's like they're just freaking out. And I woke up this morning and I'm like, I don't know. I'm just thinking to myself, I hope these people don't like burn down cities and like rip things down. When conservatives didn't get their way with pro-life, I know that January 6th was a mess because people were a little emotional, but in reality, it's like pro-life people don't act this way. Like you can't you can't have late-term abortions and abortions in every state. You can only have them in some states, and you're like unhinged about that. I don't know. It seems very spiritually off, and I do think that some people are just letting their body be like an open vortex for just like other entities to just come in and like you know mind control them. In my opinion, it's like the media. If you don't think for yourself, someone's going to think for you. If you don't have a spiritual concrete solidarity, like, okay, this is what I believe, then someone's going to believe something for you. And if you're open to all of this stuff, you're going to end up just being a monster until you get self-awareness to be like, okay, let me logically look at this stuff. I'm going to read some of your comments, whether you would agree or disagree. This is my personal story, and then I'm going to find some comments. I'm looking at them now. I never thought about abortion. It's kind of wasn't a thing that I thought about ever. I would say I was passively pro-choice in my early 20s because I just thought it was right, but I never really was like an activist or anything. And once I saw the left escalated to like, because overall, what I thought, it's like with everything, it's like, for instance, the right to choose, right? This was like, or it's like a woman's right, everybody, my body, my choice. With the vaccine mandate, that proved that wrong, right? Everybody saw that because for 20 years, abortion is my right to choose, my body, my choice. They repeated that, my body, my choice. And I thought to myself, okay, well, that, even though I might not understand, that's logical. It's her body. She gets to choose. It's not my life. I don't care what people do. It's not, who cares? But then I'm like, okay, but then you won't let me in a restaurant or a sports thing. I can't go on a cruise. It's not my body, my choice. And a lot of people are speculating that's why Kavanaugh, and these people push this now. Maybe they wouldn't have pushed Roe versus Wade. A lot of people are speculating if the left didn't do that. They proved their main argument for abortion, my body, my choice. They don't believe it, right? Let's be honest. Okay, my body, my choice with abortion. So then vaccine mandates, my body, it's not my body, my choice. So probably Kavanaugh and Amy Coney Barrett are like, okay, it's not my body, my choice. So Roe versus Wade is overturned. That argument, liberals ruined their only argument or one of their main arguments for abortion. And on that note, with vaccine mandates and abortion, even though they're different topics, you have to understand, even if you believe like I'm anti-mandate, but here's the thing, I am reasonable where I understand why people would want them. Let's start with vaccine mandate, and then we'll get to abortion. So outside of my own feelings, right? I don't want to get one. I don't want to be mandated. I understand why some people would think mandates are good. One of the main reasons, let's just say this COVID vaccine was 100% effective, right? And everybody knew. It was obvious, 100% effective. Nobody who got the COVID vaccine was getting COVID. And this is like the greatest vaccine ever made. And we know that it's just, if you don't get the vaccine, you're at this crazy higher risk. I still personally wouldn't support mandates for reasons because they don't have liability for side effects. And I think anything that even has a small percent of that, you need to be in control of that. But let's say it was 100% effective. I would understand why they'd want a vaccine mandate. But here's how you know they're phony. And then I'm going to get to abortion. Even though I have my biases, I can put them aside and be honest. It doesn't stop you from getting the virus, spreading the virus. You can still get it and spread it, right? If you get the vaccine. They're showing that millions of people who get vaccinated can still get it and spread it. They're talking about how powerful natural immunity is after you get infected. Everybody's admitting that it is this massive, boost, but they're not checking for natural immunity, right? And they're not testing people who are vaccinated as much as they're testing unvaccinated. If vaccinated people can get it and you're testing everyone, then you test them too, right? Nothing with vaccine mandates made sense because they're freaking lying. Even though I'm against it, I could be honest. If it was really effective and this and that, and it really stopped the spread and you couldn't spread it if you had the vaccine, I wouldn't support it, but I'd understand logically. But they're not trying to do logic because then they would have tested unvaccinated people as much as vaccinated or vaccinated people as much as unvaccinated. You get what I'm saying? They would have, tested for natural immunity and used that as a scale to let you into this stuff. Nothing about what they said, not my body, my choice, not the mandates, not the testing, nothing about the mandates made any sort of scientific sense. And anybody with half a brain could see that, even if they were on either side of the equation. Now let's go to abortion, right? So morally, it's like whether you're right wing or left wing, what do people want to do? The right thing, right? Let's not kill a baby, but at the same time, let's not exaggerate and say that something that's not a baby is a baby, because I'm not trying to get graphic, but there is sperm in my body. I'm no tranny. I'm not a woman. I'm a man. I have sperm. My sperm is not really alive. I guess kind of it is, but it's like, you know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to be gruesome, but it's like, this is the moral argument. It's like, when does it become a baby? Because women have eggs, guys have sperm, and at a certain point it grows. And we don't want to exaggerate and be like, well, that's a baby. That's a baby. It's like, no, that's not a baby. So I understand the controversy. There is controversy in abortion. When does it become a baby? Is it at conception? Is it at heartbeat? Is it when it starts growing limbs? Is it when it's out the womb? Right? This is a moral. If we were adults, we'd have a moral discussion. When is it a baby? When is it too far to do this? When does it feel pain? Let's take all these things into consideration and figure out what the moral thing to do. When I became pro-life heavily, now I don't care what they do. I don't care if they ban it in every state, if you want my opinion, but I became pro-life when I watched the left. They said, let's extend it to 10 weeks. Okay, let's extend it to 14 weeks. Okay, let's extend it to 18 weeks. I don't know. Let's extend it to 20, 24 weeks. Let's just say if it's half out, half in, let's give the woman the right to choose. It's like, dude, it's freaking murder, bro. It's murder. What are you doing? It's out the, and then we could have we could resuscitate the baby, and then we'll decide if it's a baby. It's like, dude, Democrats are lying about everything, and I don't even like Republicans. Don't get it twisted. A lot of hypocrites, a lot of liars, a lot of frauds. I don't like Republicans. But there's nothing as fake as a Democrat. They don't mean anything they say with the vaccine mandates. None of their logic makes sense, even if I were to agree with certain things and be real. And then when it comes to abortion, they have no intention of being moral about it all. So I don't care. Get rid of it completely at this point. These people are like Moloch worshiping demons. They're not trying to figure out when it's alive. Heartbeat seems like a good place. They don't want a heartbeat. 20 weeks seems good. Even I know women who've got abortions, like, that's insane. That's crazy. There's a huge difference between, a couple weeks and like almost like about to have a birth. But the Democrats don't care about that. So I don't care about them anymore. Like they're going to riot and rage and freak out. And it's like, nothing they say makes sense. With vaccines, they're not thinking about natural immunity. They don't care about obesity. They don't care about comorbidities. They don't care about if the vaccine prevents this spread or not. They're testing unvaccinated people just to bully you. Oh, well, tens of millions of vaccinated people will get sick and spread the virus, but we're just going to bully you and only test unvaccinated. That's not scientific. That's not science. That's bullying. Not letting someone in a restaurant, even though the vaccinated person can get in and spread it, that's bullying. That's not science. They're bullies. They're not scientific. They're not logical. They're not moral. And they're just going to keep burning down their own cities every time they can worship a demon. It's like we need to burn our own communities down when we don't get our way. What do you want? What do you want? With BLM, yeah, everybody saw the tape. It was uncomfortable to watch, regardless of what you think. It's just not ideal. That's not an ideal situation. Ideal is everybody's hanging out at a barbecue, having fun. But what is burning down your own neighborhood going to do? What is destroying everything? What did you get out of that? What's the point? Is that the biggest threat to this community? Is it heart disease? Is it inner city violence? Is it gang violence? Is it, economic stuff? No, it's cops. It's not. It's a freaking lie. Okay. I'm a rapper. I mean, I'm not like a gangster street rapper or anything, but in general, it's like I do hip hop. I just did this show last night in Vegas. It was sweet. But in general, I like rap. I like gangster. I like all rap. I like gangster rap. I like real people that are telling real stories. I don't care if you're from the hood or from wherever. If you're honest and you're raw and you got talent, I'll respect it. But let's be honest when it comes to rappers. All I hear rappers talk about is cops, cops, cops. And I'm not like a big cop, whatever. Cops are cops. They're just people doing their jobs. Some suck, some are good. But everybody acts like cops are the number one threat to the Black community. I'm sorry. Every week, rappers are getting killed. Rappers with hundreds of thousands of followers on Instagram. Rappers with millions of followers. Rappers with billions of streams. Every other week, dead. Freaking hundreds of rappers are dying over the last couple of years. And you know who's killing them? It's not cops. It's other Black people. That's just a fact. So I'm not saying you have to like hate yourself or something. It's just like, stop acting like that's the number one threat to your life when it's really just gang violence is killing people by the thousands, including famous people. But you guys don't want to say it. So I don't care about your activism. If you say F the police, I'll be like, yes, some police suck, but are you going to be honest? It's like me if I'm like, oh, White people and part Hispanic Americans have never done anything wrong. It's like, oh, we're the victim. No, there's bad people doing bad things all over the place. But let's be honest about it. One of the major killers in this country is obesity, heart disease, pharmaceutical, big pharma, hospital mistakes is a massive killer. People believe it or not. And then we could talk about gun violence, right? But why is it happening? Is it the gun owners? Is it, who's doing a majority of the crime? Like, well, let's talk about it all, but let's not just talk about one thing and just make it so annoying. Everybody's so fake. Who cares though? Someone said, did Trump get raided? I have no idea. I'm going to get your comments, but overall, that's my opinion. Now I'm going to put comments on the screen. This is going to make people uncomfortable, but we're being fed garbage food dye, garbage dough conditioner, garbage crap everywhere, canola oil in everything. People are getting fatter, addicted to pills. Nobody's working anywhere. Everywhere's hiring. I don't know. COVID reprogrammed people to just be introverted and not go out and stuff. So nothing's everything has shortages everywhere. All this stuff's going on in our country. We're falling apart morally. And I believe this is a huge rude awakening to America in a good way, to be you're uncomfortable? Good. Because having sex, being fat, listening to rap music, talking about just doing dumb, immoral crap, it's not cool. It's not cool. I'm not saying I'm perfect. It's just not cool anymore. It's not cool to just let the country go to shit. That's not cool. Being moral is cool. Not having sex with people that you don't want to have babies with, that's cool. But if you have sex, I don't know. I'm not trying to judge women, but my parents were very young when they had me, right? Very young. I'm glad they had me. They easily could have got aborted and be like, we're not ready for this kid. Thank God. I'm pretty cool. I'm glad that they didn't abort me, Let's see. I'm going to read some. Let me see if I can find some good comments. Someone said, you need to hear my story, one of hope, Google Mel Winfield. Well, I can't Google right now, but I hope it's good. Someone said they're legally repealing My Body, My Choice for the mandatory jabs next pandemic. Interesting theory. So I guess you're saying they're doing this. It's you're saying they're doing this just so then when they mandate vaccines, they could say, well, if you could do that, could be anything's up. Someone said we're all glad they kept you too. I know it's dope. I'm glad. But I morally, I get why at a certain point you're let's not do this. I get it. But the Democrats don't draw a line, right? They're not drawing a line. Couple weeks, 6 weeks, 10 weeks, 12 weeks, 16 weeks, 18 weeks. Now I'm over it. It's with the LGBTQ stuff. I was just hanging out with someone the other day. It's I don't care what you do as long as you don't blast it at children and talk to me about it. How am I even supposed to know that you're doing it if you don't talk about it all the time? But in general, it's you push further. Now I'm done playing along. I don't even care. I feel the same way about gay marriage. I wouldn't care if they overturned it anyway. American marriage is a scam on paper. It's not even biblical anymore. It's here, sign some paperwork, and then he could take half your money if your gay spouse leaves you, and take all your wealth. It's cool. It's not a biblical marriage. I get it now. Marriage is not supposed to be a paperwork or a Vegas trip. It's supposed to be a spiritual connection to somebody. So now they've gone so far. It's yeah, I don't even care. I don't, it's just stop. That's how I feel about Roe versus Wade. It's I gave you a chance. I was willing to make a moral, compromise, but you're not trying to. So who cares? They're gonna also riot no matter what. People, I remember, what's that guy's name on Fox? No offense, but Greg Gutless Gutfeld. When the BLM thing was happening with the Derek Chauvin court case, he said, I don't care what it should be. I just hope they say he's guilty so the cities don't burn. No respect for Greg Gutfeld after that. He's whatever. He's a big circus clown, ha, 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 Fox News, ha. But in general, it's here's my take. I want justice to prevail, right? If he's guilty, make him guilty. If he's innocent, make him innocent. I didn't watch the court case enough to really study it, so I don't have this strong opinion on it because I didn't really follow the entire court case. So it's okay not to know sometimes. You always have to. But in general, it's I'm not going to say, oh, even if it's the wrong court decision, just do it so they don't burn the cities down. They're Greg Gutless. They're going to burn stuff down anyway, you gutless fraud. This is the GOP. oh, I know it's wrong, but they're gonna, anytime you do anything, they push further, 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 right? That's the left. Overton windows further, further to the kids, smaller, slower, lower, lower. Abortion, more, 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 bigger, 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 birth, afterbirth, murder. And then it's like, oh, but let's not let them get upset. It's like, bro, they're always gonna get upset. They push the Overton window 50 points, and anytime they'll push it down the road 20 miles. And when you try to take back 1 mile, they're going to freak out. And then they're going to push it 20 more miles. And then you try to go back to what it was 5 years ago, and they're going to freak out. So it's like you can't please these people because psychologically they don't want to be pleased. You can give them everything that they want, everything, every law, every bill, every rule. They're not going to be happy. Do you know why? It's a spiritual and a mental thing. It's called being grateful and appreciative. They don't have it. I had a taxi driver out here in Vegas, and the guy was from Ethiopia, right? Black dude from Ethiopia. He said he lived in Ethiopia. He lived in Australia. Now he lives in Las Vegas. I said, how's Vegas? He goes, it's paradise. It's paradise. I love it, man. And I was like, how's Ethiopia? He goes, it's great, man. How's Australia? It's great, man. You know why he feels that way? He's got a good attitude. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure there's problems in Ethiopia, there's problems in Vegas, and there's problems in Australia. But he's just got a good spirit. He's like, it's great, man. I love it. He's black, but he's happy to be here. He's happy to be anywhere. He's like, shit, man, I got one life. What am I going to sit around and mope for? You give these left-wingers everything they want, and they're always going to want more because the problem's internal. It's a mental, physical, spiritual problem for a lot of people. And it's like they're not willing to face their own demons and face their own flaws. So they're always like projecting outwards, and you can't please them. You can't pull a Greg Gutfeld and say, just do what they want so they don't burn stuff down. Yeah, they'll not burn the city down now, but they will in 4 weeks when something else happens, So it's like it's all perspective. The world is all perspective. It's like, how grateful are you? How appreciative are you? Are you willing to look at the positive? Are you willing to be honest about the negative and do what you have to do? Or are you just going to unhinge, screech, and scream when something doesn't go your way? And to be fair, right-wingers throw fits too. I do think left-wingers are more destructive and violent. But a lot of right-wingers are unhinged too, in my opinion. They just get emotional and angry all the time, and that's not the answer either. But whatever. Let's see. Someone said, be the change you want to see in the world. It's so true. It's so true. And with the abortion stuff, I mean, I guess technically if you really value that, then you can move to a state. I agree with this decision because, like, say guns, right? If you really want to open carry guns, right? In America, this is the great part about America. And most people don't realize that this is not common in the world. If you're in Australia, you're in Australia. They don't have as much difference and diversity among, even in Canada, a little bit, but not as much as America. If you really want to open carry, you can go to a lot of Republican states, right? But if you don't care about open carry or you want to file for a permit in California, a lot of people can carry in California. You just need a permit. But you get what I'm saying? If it really matters to you a lot, you go to that state. If you want to live by the beach, Anali, why do you live there? I like the beach. You know what I'm saying? Why don't you live here? I want to live by an ocean, and I want to live here. If I really want no state taxes, right? I don't like state taxes. I don't complain that much. You know why? Because I'm paying them. If I really don't want to pay state taxes, I'll take my ass to Florida. If I want humid weather, I'll go to Florida. If I want to open carry, I'll move to a Republican state. And if I don't, so if you feel strongly about abortion, move the same way a gun owner would move if he wants to own more guns and have more gun laws. It's like that's America. It's actually good. It's like, I'm glad it's happening. Go somewhere. And I like counties as well. It's like I like that counties are able to do different things sometimes. It's the beauty of America. You want abortions? Go to California. Just don't come to my county because we don't need you. Jane said, as a Christian woman who went through one, my baby had upside down heart and I was always pro-life and I still regret it. I'm glad Roe's overturned because Jane Roe never had one. Research it. Right. She was a liar. And God bless you, Jane. It's like, a lot of people, it's like a haunting experience, right? But you have to forgive yourself. No, I know you regret it, but it's like you have to forgive yourself and be at peace with it because everything happens for a reason. And, everybody makes mistakes and everybody has like haunting stuff, but just, promise me, don't beat yourself up over it. Cause I know a lot of women feel that way as well. Like it haunts them and they think about it a lot because it does affect a woman more. That's the truth. Like, it isn't like you could say with a man, like, oh, and I'm not saying, oh, women can do whatever they want. It's like, no, but It's like a man, it's easy to tell a woman to do something when it's not your body. If a guy had to get an abortion, they would understand the process more. But you know, it is what it is. Everything happens for a reason, and sometimes, some things have to get so crazy to the point where people go through something and be like, all right, this is not it. Cultures like that for me. I thought all these things were cool in my 20s, and I'm like, as I grow up, and I'm like, actually, it's not cool. It's not cool at all. Someone said women are being tricked and coerced into this stuff, for sure. And that's why this is a rude awakening. It's like the families are being separated. The Black community's been manipulated over the last 60 years. The white people have been manipulated. Hispanics at the border are being manipulated. Everybody's being manipulated to a certain extent, and they're tapping into certain things, certain emotions, certain pain, certain divisive division sort of things to make everybody against each other, to make everybody support immoral things, and it's all, notice their little tricks. I know people here are very smart, so I don't have to like explain it, but that's just what we do here. We have chats. It's like everything's to separate people. It's like if you have a strong guy, a strong family, it's hard to take advantage of somebody. You get the guy away from the girl, now it's a woman by herself. If you're a woman, let's not get it twisted. Maybe you open carry and you have a gun, and you protect yourself, but it's like it would be nicer, just like with me. If I'm by myself, I'm not a pussy, excuse my language, but it's like if I'm with 6 dudes and like bodyguards, it's like, yeah, I feel strong. I feel more protected than even normal because it's like, a team. It's like a football player by himself with a whole team. But in general, it's like a woman by herself is not as strong as a woman with a man. There's more protection there. The kid with a family, it's like take the kid away from the parent, take the mom away from the dad, put the kid over here, put him over here, make them watch this. Here's the teacher. They're just like taking everybody. And once they can separate everybody racially, politically, everything, get everybody mad, worried about all this wrong stuff, then they could just drill us with this immoral, foul stuff. And they've been doing it over the last 60 years in so many different directions. It's difficult to even know like how to start to combat it. It's like with health things. What's causing all these health problems in this country? There's something going on. What is it? It's hard to really put a finger on because they're doing so much screwed up stuff to us. The pharmacy industry is corrupt. Purdue Pharmaceuticals, they're one of the most scammy, fraudulent, like horrible people in modern history that barely anybody talks about. Opioids, like all sorts, so pharma, the food we're eating, the quality, the fact that we're factory farming and things aren't as local anymore. And it's just more, bigger, injected with it. So it's like, what's causing the health problems? I don't know. It could be 100 things. It's probably a combination of everything because they're doing all this stuff on a scale and it makes it hard to even like point out because you just like end up sounding crazy. You're like, dude, that's crazy. It's like, no, it's not crazy. They're doing it. So it's like, once you get away from all that stuff, you almost just seem like detached from a lot of other people because they're like, what do you mean you don't like to watch movies? What do you mean? Like I'm so weird. I don't even listen to like bad lyrics anymore. Like that's how weird I am, where it's like lyrics that I took a song off my own Spotify that was about like too much about drugs, in my opinion. I took it off. It was one of my most streamed songs years ago. It's called Faded. I still have the video on YouTube, but it's like, I didn't even want to put it. I don't care about the money or the streams. I was like, that's not who I am anymore. And also it's like, I don't want kids to listen to that as much. And, I don't put music on my playlist that has like dark demonic lyrics. It's like positive lyrics, good lyrics, things that I believe. There's some like, sad songs and stuff, but mostly like I'm not watching movies like that, music like that, programming, I'm not entertaining. I don't even say certain words. Like I don't watch like pharmacy commercials. Like I'm like trying to manifest and tap all that stuff out of my life because I know there's just so many tricks. Food, I mean, I'm not a perfect eater, but I've been trying to avoid certain things. I do try to get the healthiest stuff I can. But I it's unfortunately it's not that easy because like easy food is not always the best. But that's why I talk about I'm fine with eating a cheeseburger with bacon on it. But it's like, what's the meat? What's the bacon? What's the bread? Is the bread illegal in Europe? Then why is it legal? It's like, let's get these baseline ingredients. Like, let's get the FDA to pass a law like that. Like, they'll ban raw milk before they ban food dye. Like, this country's so screwed up. They're banning, like, you can't have pomegranate juice unpasteurized. Raw fruit is illegal in certain places. Collecting rainwater is illegal. But you can jack up food dyes that are illegal in other countries and put like fake GMO hormones and everything. It's like, the frick is wrong with this country? They're banning organic fruits, but you can put like cancerous materials in everything. It's crazy. But all right. Someone said I drank a thing of raw milk today. I don't even know where to find it, but I think it's illegal in certain states and legal in certain. I don't know. Someone said happy birthday. It's not my birthday, but I appreciate it. I'll take a happy birthday. Let's see. Someone said I don't say evolve. I say grow or growth. I hear you. And he said you're the best. So I appreciate it. Someone said Ukraine has the best meat. ATM, no EU regulations. I didn't know that, but I talked to this guy from the Middle East when I used to take Uber and Lyft more, and he used to be like, he was from Syria. He's like, bro, the meat is so fake in America. Even the good meat. He's like, bro, it's not bleeding. In Syria, it's like all the meat bleeds. It's real meat. Like this is bullshit here. It's like a lot of countries that, I mean, the Western world's amazing. Don't get it. Like civilization's awesome. I love Europe. I love America. I like the West, but it's like everything has pros and cons, right? That's the beauty of the world. It's like nobody's better than others, but objectively, certain things are better and certain things are worse in other places. But there's pros and cons. Like Africa, in many ways, it's not as built up as the West, but they rejected big pharma a little bit harder than the West did. Like China makes a lot of stuff, but also they do like lockdowns in big apartment buildings. It's like, everybody's got like good and bad thing. Like Europe has like better food regulations, but they're also like way too far left and probably going to destroy themselves. So there's pros and cons everywhere, but definitely our country's pretty weird with like food. We're the most compromised by big pharma, big agriculture. Like I want to say Joe Biden said, I don't even know if this is true, but he said that we're the first country that's approving these shots for like infants. That's what Biden, he tweeted. I don't know if that's true or not, but like we're paving the way by getting these COVID vaccines to the youngest of the young. And it's like, yeah, that's exactly who we are. We're a big pharma capital. We're like 5% of the world doing like 75 and 80% of opioids. That's not good. That like people don't, oh, well, vaccines are so great. Yeah. It's like, okay, let's talk about opioids. Let's not talk about vaccines. It's like, is it good to be 5% of the world? This was like a couple years ago. The stats probably changed. 5% of the world, America, taking 80% of the opioids. Is that for your health? We're just taking so many more because we're so civilized and we're so awesome and we're the healthiest. No, we're getting scammed. We're getting fed like a factory cow. You know what I'm saying? Gulp, 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 gulp. Money, 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 money. Your kid needs, it's not good. That's why the mental health crisis is so bad too. It's like, programming sucks. Everybody's just gobbling up pills, and now you have these deranged kids. Obviously, a lot of school shooters like don't have good parents and stuff. A lot of them don't even have parents or, one parent or like they're raised by their grandma. I'm not saying your grandma's not cool, but it's like there's a real correlation between a lot of these mass shootings and stuff. Not all of them, but it's just like you're not going to look at mental health. You're not going to look at big pharma. You're not going to look at the family unit. It's just straight to let's take guns away from like law-abiding citizens. This country's a joke, but at the same time, we're also kind of epic. We're overturning Roe versus Wade. We're holding down the Second Amendment. Yesterday was a big ruling. The Constitution is starting to make a comeback, and I'm grateful for that. At least the pendulum seems like it's swinging back a little bit. Appreciate y'all. Thank you, Maria. All right. If anybody's got any good comments, if you want to give your take on Roe versus Wade, I'm going to stay for 7 more minutes. So anybody that's got a take on Roe versus Wade, agree with me, disagree with me, I'm going to just do straight comments right now. But definitely do it quickly because I don't like to just like have no sound. Perry said, hello, Anomaly. What's going on? Let's see. Someone said EU citizen. It's a shit show over here. Pros and cons. Scotty said, great day for babies. God bless. Am I at VidCon? Somebody said. No, I'm so just to let y'all know real quick, I got booked for a last second event. There was an event in Las Vegas. It was like a censorship conference. They asked me last second, like a couple days before, or else I would have promoted it more and stuff if like the situation was right. But they basically were like, hey, we want you to host this 2-day event. So I hosted a 2-day event. I was the host of the whole show on Wednesday and Thursday. And then Thursday, I had a show with the band Trapped. They were playing at a venue in Vegas. So I got to do what I've always wanted to do because I've done speaking gigs, I've done shows, but I always wanted to do both in the same day. So I got to do a whole event where I was the host and speaking, hosting panels. And then at night, I got to do a rock show, and there were a couple hundred people there. So that was pretty dope. It was definitely a good Vegas experience. And I wore an all white suit. I felt cool. But it was a good time. Vegas is crazy, though. I got to get out of here. It's too much lights. Everything, like, even like the 7-Eleven looks like a slot machine. It's cool. I was like, it's very cool, but it's just like at the same time, I look at slot machines and stuff so much. When I close my eyes in Vegas, I just start seeing lights. There's lights everywhere. So it's like when I'm just trying to like lay down and like bing, 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 I'm like, I gotta get the hell out of here. But Vegas is cool. Someone said I'm in Vegas. I live here. Most people who live in Vegas don't like go to the strip all the time, you know? So like Vegas locals, they're not doing what I'm doing. So it's like you're like, yeah, you can't be in front of a slot machine all the time. That's not the play. Do you get to see some video footage? Yeah, there's some on my Instagram, and I might upload the performance. But if you go to my Instagram, it's in my story. Also on Facebook. If you're on Facebook, it's in my like story on there. So yeah, I have a little clip of the performance, and with the panels and the conference, they recorded some of them. I'll probably try to take my favorite clips from them, but we'll see. This was a very last second event, and these people seems like they like me, and they're going to book me for more stuff. So we'll see. There's definitely going to be events in the future where I have more time to promote it, because I did 2 events these last 2 months, and both of them were last second. They asked me like a week before, so it's hard to promote. I know people need like time off and stuff. So next event I do, I'll have more time in advance. I'll be able to promote it. But also, it's like a deal sort of thing too, you know, with my audience, where it's like, I don't know, it's like 3 days before I put a link or something. But give me a couple months, and I'll get it out there. But it's all good. Appreciate y'all. I'm gonna take off, but let me know in the comments. I'm gonna read some after this, and that's my take. Really, to wrap it up, it's an uncomfortable day for a lot of people, but people need to be a little uncomfortable, because morally, spiritually, physically, mentally, we've been going downhill in this country. I'm not saying we're not getting smarter in some ways, but it's like mental illness is like growing. Obesity is growing. People are more deranged than they've ever been. People are on too many pills. I'm saying the family unit's been struggling. Like, sex culture is actually not cool. I know I sound very not cool, but it's like not that cool to do that all the time. It's a dead end. So it's like all this stuff that we're teaching the kids and doing, it's all wrong. It's literally like, if now that I'm 32 and I'm not a complete moron like I used to be, I look at what the media and the left wing is telling kids, and it's like, literally just do the opposite and you'll be healthy, happy, and have like mental sanity. Like, they're lying about literally everything. So if you notice today, there's going to be some Republicans that are like, I'm pro-choice, and that's fine. There's going to be some people who are like, I don't think this is a good decision. That's fine. But the overwhelming majority of people who are going to be unhinged in the streets and like really freaking out about this are people that need a wake-up call, because they're just wrong about almost everything. And, it's like, hopefully people take a reflection and be like, listen, we can take a pro from this. And a pro is, instead of freaking out about this, let's rewire our culture. Let's tell little boys that are 5 that they're boys. Let's tell little girls that are 5 that they're women, right? Let's let them grow up and learn who they are in their teens and 20s, without just jamming these ideas in their heads and converting them and jacking hormone blockers into them. Let's leave the kids alone. You know what I'm saying? Let's let them know that all this stuff that pop culture says is cool is actually not cool. You know what I'm saying? Let's let people know that, yeah, you can have sex, and we're not saying to be like a total stiff if you don't want to, if that's not your thing. However, be honest about the risks, and just be like, it's actually, mentally draining and physically exhausting, and it's not rewarding. You'll figure it out at a certain point. Let's take a positive from this and try to rewire culture to be more moral, instead of like burning down neighborhoods and screeching and screaming. Like, all the people screeching and screaming are not, they don't get it. But appreciate you. Have a good day. I will be back soon. And hopefully they don't do too much damage and destruction, because they're going to do something. But God bless. Stay peaceful, folks. And that's what it is.